Right. How's it going, guys? It's Kia here from Nighthawk Trading. Just a quick one, just going over this the third time, just to help you understand. The first ones didn't work, so we'll go again. So we'll just exit this. Right, so we're on the 15-minute chart here. We'll make this full screen. Let me just quick check, let me make sure this is all working before I do another whole video and it's not working. 2 wee seconds. Right, there we go, perfect. Right, so first stage, 15-minute chart, identifying our areas. So you see here, we've been in a nice strong uptrend for the last few days. We'll get into this area. I had a zone marked out somewhere here anyway. See that pullback? You see this here, a nice wee downtrend here. You see this break of structure. So at this point here, I'm waiting for price to get to an area. So I'm now looking for my supply and demand zone area. So complete this for, I'll move this out of the way for now. Now I'm looking for my supply and demand zone area. Move these out of the way real quickly for you. Simple way doing this is, once we see this break, where is the last push down before the push up? So where is it? Right here. This is our last push down before the push up. So let's just take price back to here before we even seen this. So at this point here, I'm wondering where's the last push down before the push up, to hopefully catch this back down, back up to these areas somewhere, or up to here. So this is our goal once we're identifying this. So now we're just waiting for price to play out. Comes down, taps it. I'm not counting that as a buy yet. It's not really in my area. It's just kind of hovered over it, as you see. We see price coming down. So now we hop in the 1 minute. What can we see? Okay, so we see prices in here now in our zone. This wick that's just out of it, I don't count, because on the higher time frames and this time frame, it's just a wick. It's nothing else. So now we've identified our last high. Now this is our high now. See what price does. So this right here is our break of structure. So break of structure right here. We'll see what price does now. So now we're hoping for price to come in back down to here. We could potentially buy. Again, comes back in. This could be your first entry here if you want. It's not really enough confluence for me, so I won't be buying in this area. See price now comes up perfectly. So this is where, this is now after it pushes out of this area. Now I'm looking for it coming down. It breaks this now, starts to push up. So this is my last push down. So this is just weak to strong hand, simple strategy. So supply and demand, before I start again, supply and demand is the last push down before the push up, or the last push up before the push down. So the last candle, so like here, this big push up, this last candle is your supply and demand zone on the 1 minute. We don't really use it for the 1 minute. You kind of, the rule of thumb is kind of, you go 30 times, so to find your entry, you go 30 times lower than the chart you're actually looking at. So if I'm on the 15, I can't get to the 30 seconds, so I'll just use the 1 minute to find my supply and demand. That's kind of the rule of thumb. Again, this push up, this big push down, that is my supply and demand zone, realistically. That's on the 1 minute, so I kind of won't use that unless I'm in a zone like this. So you've now seen this break of structure. You've seen the pullback into this area. You've seen it break out. You've seen it retest this last push down. So that was enough confirmation for me to buy here. You can either put your stops here, put the stop really tight, you can put it under the wick, put it under here, you can put it under your supply and demand zone. For me, I kept it very tight, about 25 pips. First take profit could be there for a 7, risk to reward, wherever your stop loss is. It might be a 2.6, it might be a 1, so it just depends. My stop loss was just here, or just around there anyway, say here, for 45 pips. So your first take profit could be here, second take profit could be here, and we'll zoom out. Your third take profit could be here, and you can let the rest run to hopefully up there. So that's 600 pips, I think it ran. Yeah, so I think it came up to about here. So that would be my 1. I think I took my first, that would have been my first there, or here. second here, and you let the rest run. So that was my simple entry. Just waiting for the break of structure. You can see this here, push up, last push down, break of structure, retest this supply and demand zone, breaks out of it, retests again, so that's 3 or 4 confirmations, plus your supply and demand, so that's another confirmation for me. It's me in this trade, see how this plays out, pushes up, lovely. Now it's broke this structure, so this is a break of structure here, you can see, just about breaks this structure, just by maybe a wee wick. That's enough for me, that's another confirmation that I'm in this. It's a lovely trade. You see it come down into this area here, this here. So a lot of the time, you don't really get taught this, a lot of the time, once it does break out of this zone, a lot of the time it will come back to retest the kind of area. So again, this could be another entry for you if you didn't get in there. See what happens, starts to push up again, break a structure again, once again, break a structure, just by a wick. So now it's looking good that we're on the upside. See what happens, we'll play this out in the 5, just to see what happens. Again, look at it on the 5, it comes down, touches, comes back to fill. Another thing that I'll touch over quickly is imbalance. So you see on this push down here, there's a big imbalance, so that's another confirmation for me that this is going to come back up to fill this. So now you see this imbalance gets filled, lovely, but what happens is it leaves another imbalance here. What do you see happen? Price comes back down, fills this imbalance, now there's an imbalance here, comes back and fills that. So we'll see what price keeps going up, hits your second TP, comes back, look at that, perfectly comes back to fill. Now the last imbalance in this zone is here. So you see how kind of price is working. It's just filling imbalances on the way on the 5-minute chart. Big imbalance, fill. Big imbalance, fill. Big imbalance, fill. So again, this was a big imbalance as well here, fill. So it just keeps moving up, price keeps moving up, so that could be another entry for you, another entry here, so you can scalp this while you've got your overall trade running. Again, this is now took profit, this last take profit for 730 pips, very straightforward strategy. And again, now you can look for the sales potentially in this area, because you've got a supply and demand zone up here. We'll see what price does. That's price here right now. So what did I do with that? This is my setup for next week. Just a quick setup. See what right here. So that's my setup here for next week. Hoping for price to now push further down. Just go over this. This is kind of, that was it. That I kind of took. That was how I worked that one out. How I took that trade for 730 pips. That would have been. And it's just kind of, once you start seeing market structure, you can start to identify where price is going to go. So you can see here, you've got obviously the big push up wherever. Now we don't need to worry about that. We've got here this push down to make higher lows or lower lows, whatever. Then you've got a push back up to here. Now possibly we're looking for this area here to get broken. Push down, because as you can see, this is here, this can be a higher high or your lower high, this can be a higher low or your lower low, but now this confirmation for us is that, well, this possibly could be another confirmation for us that this could be a lower high, and now we're looking for price to drive this down into past these areas here, this area that this liquidation zone here, this liquidity area. Potentially looking for price to come and break this, because if price breaks here, delete this quickly. If price breaks this here, then we're looking for a bull. We're looking for a bullish market. Overall, I'm bearish right now on this. Just from looking at this price action, quite bearish. You can see that it does come up, start to reject, and this is where price is right now. So overall, right now, I'm hoping for bearishness. We've had a big uptrend for a long time now. Now this is our high here. This is our protected high, we'll call it. So protected high. So this is this area here, protected high. We're looking for price not to break that area, to continue this bearish run down. If price does break this area, potentially we're looking for buys now back up. But for now, we're bearish kind of on this. This is why I've got this here for 11.5 risk to reward, 900 pips for next week. I'm trying to drive price down back into these lower areas. So that was just a simple strategy that I used. But again, there's so much opportunities here. What do we see? Supply and demand zone. Big push up before the push down. What do we see happen? Price comes up to this area, drives it back down. So that could have been your first sell. Stops could be just above the supply zone, wherever you start to find weak to strong hand. Once you've found that, your TP could be first TP here, second TP here, and then you can let the rest run down to here. Obviously that doesn't happen. TP there, 800 pips, 12.5 risk to reward. You leave 5 or 10% on, comes back to break even. You've made a lot of money on that trade already. And that's why now I'm looking for sells down to there. So that's for gold. Pretty straightforward for gold. Like that. Now we'll look at GJ. Caught another pair on another trade on GJ. My second one here for the day. This is Friday. A lot of people don't trade Fridays. They think it's quiet, stuff like that. But this just shows you this kind of strategy can work on any day, any chart, any time frame you decide. So if you're wanting to trade the 1 hour, you can drop to the 5 minute or to identify that area, or the half an hour or whatever. So if you're using the daily chart, you use the 1 hour to identify to get in the trade. If you're looking for your supply and demand zones on the daily, works for every time frame, but I'm using it the 15 to the 1 because I like to get in and out in the day, kind of day trading. So this was my area here. Again, you don't need to look this far back, you just look for the last push up. Now we're waiting. Of course, you're seeing this is very bearish right now, bearish, whatever. Doesn't matter to us, as long as we start to see price reject off of these areas. We'll cut this back again just to show you what I kind of seen. So first thing I did was identified my supply and demand zones. So we'll just move these out of the way quickly. Supply and demand zone. So where is it? It is this last push here. This, you can kind of count that if you want. I don't count that personally. Well, I did. It depends kind of what you want. If it's a little bigger, it's just very small for me, so I won't really count that. So I'll take it from this down to the bottom of the wick, just in case price does come up to that area, and that'll be me. So now we're just waiting to see what price does. See, it does react off this zone just, but so you could have had a quick scalp off this. You can see just about reacts, doesn't quite hit it anyway, so you can't take a trade in there anyway. It blows right past it once it does get in it, so that's fine. So now you're looking at this supply and demand area. Price now taps in. Let's hop into the 1 minute. Let's see what price does. We can still see we're in a nice downward trend, so there's no entries as of yet. We're waiting. You see, this is your first break of structure, same as gold. Pretty straightforward. Your break of structure. There we go. It's the first one. No entry yet. Starting to push. What are we doing? We're waiting for an entry. You could potentially still scalp this. Just see what price does. Moving. Right. So you see it kind of respects it here, this zone. It's not far enough in my supply and demand zone yet for me to enter this trade. This is lovely, it's filled a lot of it. So now I'm just waiting for my trade. Seeing what price does. Still kind of on that down. That was a kind of break of structure there, but it came back and it didn't break this. So we're just waiting now. We'll see what price does. This will be my break of structure now that I'm looking for, because I've also got supply and demand zones now being filled. So now what do we see? Nice break of structure right here. Beautiful. So now we can start looking for buys. So what do? We're on the 1 minute. We'll look for a last push down, which is here. Draw that out. Now we're waiting. You can see also this is another break of structure here. So now 2 confirmations that this is starting to react to go up. We've not found our trade yet. You could have possibly took it here on that break, just caught a little bit, but we're just waiting for a confirmation. We just want to see the weak to strong hand first get shown, which you can see here. This is a weak to strong hand. Once you see this big move down get broken, we're now looking for our buys. So price is now coming down, reacting, doesn't tap this area, so it started to go back up again. Now this, we can use this as our last push down before the push up. What do we see price do? Breaks through. Okay, so it does actually respect this one here. So that you could have held that there. You see price respects that area, fills it lovely. So that's another confirmation this holds. Starting to push up, breaks this structure, so there's another break of structure. So now we're waiting, just waiting for this confirmation if this holds. See, now we've found that one, so that could have been another entry for you. You could have entered off of that, stops are just below. But now this is our last push down here. You can see price taps into it, hits it now. You can see here, we're kind of in a little small range on the 1 minute here. So you can enter in here if you want. You could have entered there, you could have entered here. There's so many entries that you can take, but right now you can see we're kind of in this little tiny range. So wait and see what price does. Still waiting. Move this range a little bit along. Break of that range, right there. A retest of this range, right here, and you're in this trade on the break and the retest of the range. It's only a 1 minute chart, but that's enough confirmations for me. Enter here, you could have entered here. I entered here. My stops are just very tight, 1.5 pips, very tight. First take profits here, second's here, and third is up here for a 20 risk to reward. So see what price does. Comes in, see, so this is that is the only problem with keeping your stops too tight, is it can get tapped out. It can get tapped out. So if you've had your stops just a little bit lower, just below that last push down, you'd be perfect. So that's what I would recommend, is keeping your stops before the last tiny push down here. So again, still a 10 risk to reward. See what price does. That's another entry for me that I could have took. Price comes down, retests it again, not being stopped out, just waiting for price, see what price does here. Still pushing up, TP1's been hit. Zoom out now. Holding this, and you can see it's holding the 50 moving average as well. Again, it's came back, but it's not only is it a 50 moving average, it's also supply and demand zone. You could have entered it there again. So that could be your second entry. Again, comes back, taps that supply and demand zone again before hitting TP3 for a 10 risk to reward. Depending on where you stops, it could be a 17, it could be whatever. And that's just a simple way of breaking down and seeing your break of structure, seeing weak to strong hand. That's how I kind of confirm that. It can happen on every time frame. You see it just breaks that, and that's another confirmation, waiting for the retest. Retest happens, you can buy anywhere in here. Stops can just be below here if you've entered here, but for me, because it's broke out of this wee range, retested it, perfect for me, lovely move. So, and as you can see, we've caught a buy on a very bearish market. We've caught a buy, so you can see how bearish this market has been, and we've managed to catch a lovely 28 pips, risking 2 for a 13.3 risk to reward. Beautiful trade. Again, now what we're seeing, you can do this day in, day out. Let's hop on, we'll use the 5 because there's such a big zone, because you see here this big push up here. So now you'll look at this big push up, so we can't use that. But again, it comes in to a nice zone here that price has previously pushed off of hard and used as a kind of resistance or whatever zone. See, once it gets to here, big push down, gets to here again, big push down. So where could your next supply and demand zone to push this down? Well, it could be here. Let's see what price does. Bounces off it, comes down, bounces off it again. You can see, so that's a lovely area now that you know is getting used as a supply and demand. You find your entry in here again, your take profit can be a way back down here again. You've just bought all the way up, now you can sell all the way back down. What do we see happen? Respects it again, comes back up to supply and demand zone, probably on the 1 minute, there's probably one here, and it falls right down. Again, that would be an 8.5 risk to reward right now. Targets are back down here for another 15 risk to reward. So the amount of times this can happen is limitless. Simple as finding your breaker structure and then looking for your weak to strong hand movement. Very simple as that. That's basically it. Any questions and stuff like that, just drop it in the comments, let me know. But for that, it's very straightforward. I will be bringing out a structure video to kind of explain overall structure compared to price action structure. I'll also be bringing out supply and demand, a more detailed video, and I'll also be bringing out a more detailed video on weak to strong hand. As I managed to get my entry and my stops very tight on this. And that's basically it for now. But if you've got any more questions, just drop me a message, drop me a comment, or my link for my Discord's in the description. Free of charge up until 11th of March. But there's signals, there's beginner's guides, everything you need to learn. We're also very active in the Discord anyway. If you get any questions, you can just drop me a message, or you can ask in the general chat in the Discord. But it's really helpful. There'll be loads of stuff in there that can help you improve your trading. So, as I said, any more questions, just drop them in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. But that's just a quick and easy strategy that I use to make a lot of money quickly on gold and other pairs. Thanks for watching, guys.